no stranger to words, by the way. I love words. I love their shape, I love their sound, I love their meaning, and I love the context that is their ever-changing landscape. But I have a favourite word. It's a huge word. It's a word that is bold and is steadfast, and it is bursting with integrity. This word is courage, the first of all qualities, the one upon which all others depend. This word comes from the heart, literally. It's derived from the Latin cur. To have courage is to have the strength to overcome fear, to uphold principle, to achieve, to do good, to excel. Mark Twain maintained that courage is the mastery of fear. Now, fear is a word I don't like. Fear is a small word. It corrupts, it diminishes us. Fear is a word that paralyzes and prevents, a word that can wreak havoc. But it is a word that can be overcome, and it can be overcome by courage. Now, there are many examples of courage throughout history, and of course we learn from these if we are to go forward. So, of course, in war, the trenches of World War I, those soldiers who went over the top to certain death. The D-Day landings on Omaha Beach, the turning point of World War II that allowed us retain civilization in Europe. The prisoners tortured, but no secrets told. Who can forget Violette Saba, the girl in the perfume counter in Brixton, who turned out to make such a contribution to World War II in the British Special Operations Executive. Tortured brutally, but never gave away one single secret and was ultimately executed. She so deserved the George's Cross. The acts of kindness and solidarity as people died in concentration camps. The extraordinary image of the unknown rebel in Tiananmen Square. 9/11. As the people filed down the stairs in the towers, they watched the firemen going up the stairs, and many of those firemen never made it back down again. In politics, the inspirational leaders who upheld the principles of civilization. JFK, it's 50 years since he visited Ireland, almost to the day. In 1957, he won the Pulitzer Prize for his book, Profiles of Courage, the stories of 9 statesmen who risked glittering careers and lost glittering careers to do the right thing. He might have included himself in this book. Who can forget the Cuban Missile Crisis? The Russians intent on attacking America via Cuba, they sent their ships bearing missiles. Kennedy defined the point beyond which those ships must not go. And the World War III was hanging in the balance. The world held its breath, and Kennedy held his line, thankfully. Churchill, a man of his time, a great leader. He spoke many words of courage, many quotes on courage attributed to him. He united a nation with his words, and against all the odds, he fought to overcome the greatest odds. Civil rights, Martin Luther King. His courage lives on and never to be forgotten. We honour him constantly. Nelson Mandela, we wish him well at the moment. His constancy in the struggle against apartheid, years of imprisonment and injustice answered with a diplomacy that changed things, a beacon of hope. The Suffragettes, I can't leave them out. And how about the ordinary people who became extraordinary? Rosa Parks, single act of defiance that changed the world. Aung San Suu Kyi, the quiet woman who endured years of imprisonment and house arrest as she faced the brutality of the Burma regime. Again, so deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize. And how about the explorers, the people who pushed the physical boundaries of our existence? Christopher Columbus, Neil Armstrong, the first steps on the moon. Amelia Earhart, she flew around the world. And how about Edmund Hillary? We all remember him scaling Everest, the first to reach the summit. And here in UCD, we'll particularly remember the researchers, the people who pushed the bounds of our knowledge. Galileo, he defined courage as the ability not to determine what's impossible, but to determine that which is possible. And of course, he was imprisoned, ultimately, for his beliefs. And the Irish heroes, Wolfe Tone, Parnell, John Hume, Grace O'Malley, one of my favourite. The pirate queen who looked Queen Elizabeth in the eye, spoke Latin to her and said, "I am your equal." I could go on, but the point is really not the individuals, but what are the characteristics, the elements that make up the word courage? What is it that allows us to rise above it all? I think there are a number of unifying elements. The first of all, integrity. Challenges, however great, are overcome to uphold truth, justice, and compassion, the fundamental qualities of human dignity. In the face of fear, our uniqueness, our authenticity are retained and remain whole, whatever the outcome, whatever we endure. Constancy. Courage is the great protector from the corruption of our ideas and our actions. It is the guardian of our self-respect. It allows us persevere in the face of obstruction, to overcome all kinds of challenges, to achieve good. Possibility. Courage with courage, all things are possible. Dreams can be realized and our imagination allowed to create new realities. Realities that improve the world, that make our world better, not just for us, but for others. Liberation. Freedom. So the ego is transcended. True selflessness is achieved and permitted. So the common good takes precedence. And the restriction of ourself is overcome to give us a much greater reality, much greater achievement. All things become possible. Innovation. Courage creates change. It is the catalyst that provides the energy to drive forward the boundaries and the knowledge that allow us to achieve and to triumph, however small those triumphs are. Finally, and most importantly, courage is the ability to face the unknown. None of us know what lies ahead, not today, not tomorrow, not any day. Few of us will change the world with great gestures, dramatic events, but we will pass through the world and we will be defined by the random acts of courage that represent daily life. These acts will shape and form our world, and our life will expand or contract accordingly. Our true achievement will reflect the measure of our courage. But for the most part, it's the ordinary act of living that demands courage. So I'm going to conclude by speaking very personally of my brother Justin. It's impossible to speak about courage without speaking of him. He died 4 years ago of a brain tumour, but it wasn't that he displayed great courage in dying. It was that he had the courage to live as long as he could. And that's what I wish for all of you here. I wish for you to live. Life, glorious life, vita, gloriosa vita. It is so important. You have one life. Grab it, live it, and I wish you bon courage. Thank you.